Okay, welcome to this video demonstration regarding aerial or atmospheric perspective. I'll write those up here. It's the same thing, just a different term, atmospheric or aerial perspective. They both, they're referring to the same quality, same thing that happens. Something that we experience visually. So both refer to how when you look at objects in the distance, the quality of what you see changes. So here's a picture of Kokopelli's Trail. This is just something from last month's issue of National Geographic that I was flipping through this morning and thought it would be good for this demonstration. So here we go. So you can see here in the foreground, this is in Utah. We have this sort of scrubland around this canyon, and everything in the foreground is very distinct. Has a high contrast. Dark shadows, lights, and everything is just it's more or less the color of the color is very clear. So as you move back into space, as you look back at things, there are a few things that begin to happen. So details become less distinct, and it's not just because they're far away, um, but it's because that there is more air between the viewer and the viewed. So since we are on planet Earth and a lot of the molecules in our atmosphere reflect the color blue, that is why when we look at objects or things in the distance, they not only appear less distinct, more hazy, but they also look bluish in color. That's because, again, the amount of atmosphere between you, the viewer, and the viewed, here being these mountains. So how are we going to incorporate this into our drawings to help communicate a sense of space? So I've got a few different things for us to work with today. So I have two mechanical pencils. This gray one is an HB. This black one is a 4B. I have two Micron pens. So there's one with this nice big plastic tip, and then this is a .005 tipped pen. I've got another HB and 4B here, and these are not mechanical pencils, but just regular graphite pencils encased in wood. And then I have a ballpoint pen. So, and we're going to look at how to help create a sense of depth and distance with all of these. So my subject is something, it's a plant, I think it's some sort of weed that I found on one of my walks, and I just like the shape of it. It reminded me of an ink painting that I'm particularly fond of. So I brought it back to the studio to work with it. So I've posted a picture so you kind of know what I'm working with. And so in a few different areas here, I'm just going to play with how to create a sense of distance with these weeds. So I'm going to draw multiple versions of them. So first off, I'm going to sketch nice and lightly what I'm seeing here. Here we go. All right. And these were some type of flowers at the top before the weed died. And all right, so now I have this like very light sketch that I did with an HB pencil. I can see on the document camera it's kind of difficult to make out, but that's okay because we're going to come back in here with our 4B, and we're going to make some darker marks. Some parts we want to be light. So different parts of what we're working with are farther away from me. So this side here is further away from me. This side here is further away from me, and this is coming towards me. Okay, so as things get closer, we're going to play with our line weight. And we're going to use some darker marks here. Okay, so that's going back. I'll get a little bit lighter there. And like so. Okay, I'll thicken this up a bit. Okay, so now we have this weed, and I'm going to go ahead because this is closer. I've come in with my 4B, so it's a little softer. So the marks are a little darker, and I'm going to have these lines be there. You go, a little darker, a little bit more distinct. But then, as you can see, as these things begin to go back to help communicate that sense of space, we're going to let them be lighter. We're going to have them sort of trailing off. Now, let's say we wanted to add, one thing that's really important with creating a sense of depth is that you need to have, in order for something to look near to you, you should have something that looks far away so people can get a sense of space within the picture plane. So I've just drawn another little weed back here. I'm making this one up. And I'll just clean this up a little bit. And there we go. We're going to have this one be a little bit lighter, so it's a little bit further back. Okay. Now we can do the same thing with our micron pens. Now, one thing that's good about a micron pen is that it provides a nice, steady mark. The drawback to that is that it provides a nice, steady mark. What I mean is that you get good solid lines. Usually, if your pen nibs, the tips are clean, and there's plenty of ink in it. But it can be kind of hard to play with the line weight in a single mark. So what I'll do actually here, I'll just draw another one first in pencil. I strongly suggest when you're working with your pens to draw your subject out in graphite first, so you can erase any mistakes like that one. And there we go. Okay, so here is my 0.005, and I'm gonna go ahead and sketch this out. You can see this is a really, really thin mark there. So I'm kind of contorting my arm around here a lot to find the right type of marks, the way that my wrist wants to move, so I get nice, clean, steady marks. If I were not recording this, I would just flip the page, but I could make it difficult with my setup here. So there we go, 0.005. Now I'm going to come in with this plastic nib, and there we go. Nice. You can see nice thick line there. And just for the things that are a little bit closer to me, we're going to use darker marks like so. All right, just like that. And so now I'm also going to go ahead and, just draw in another one of these in the background. With this thinner 0.005. So again, it looks like it's further in the background. Now, one thing that's nice about a ballpoint pen, the ink's not really archival. I mean, it's going to change over time, but you can get a lot of variety in your marks. It's very sensitive to pressure. So maybe I'll work right here. And again, I'm going to start light. I should have started with the pencil, but I didn't this time. So lightly, again, sketching it out, giving myself a framework, a skeleton to build off of. Okay. And then, since ballpoint pens are a little bit more pressure sensitive, I can just press harder and get a darker mark. That generally holds true for, I think, for most writing implements. I find, again, microns not to be as sensitive. Growing up, the ballpoint pen was always my drawing weapon of choice, because they can make nice light marks, or you can put some more pressure and get a nice thick darker mark as well. All right, so we've talked about our mechanical pencils and micron pen and ballpoint pen, and now we're going to look really quickly here at our HB and 4B. So one thing that's great about these, as opposed to our mechanical pencils, is that we have more of a tip to draw with here. I should have sharpened this one a little bit more before I started this. Let's see, I just happen to have another HB pencil here. So this tip, so you just get a little bit more of a drawing surface. So notice I'm going to hold this a little differently. I'm holding it on the side, and you can see how wide, I can make these marks. So you can begin to make what we're going to call very calligraphic marks that go from thin to thick and back again, but showing some variety in your marks. So there you go. You can see, I'll just make this mark here. Look at that, thick to thin right there. So that's with my HB. With my 4B here, I can do the same thing. I can come in here with a broad side and make a much wider mark. And then I'm going to kind of darken this area up here again to help communicate that this portion is closer to us. Okay. All right. So there we go. Atmospheric or aerial perspective and how to achieve that with line weight.